Hey folks, we've been talking about how do we lose our kids' hearts. It's one of the most painful discussions we can have as parents. Sometimes the responsibility is at the parents' end. We provoke our kids to wrath. Sometimes the responsibility is on our children's end. They have not been genuinely converted yet, or they have a seed of rebellion in their heart. But a third and final reason that we might lose our kids' hearts is the cultural influence. Now, we don't have to look around very far to realize that culture has power. We see that very clearly in the life of Samson. His parents were very faithful in his upbringing. They didn't let him touch a dead thing, didn't drink strong drink, and didn't cut his hair. But yet he was enamored with the Philistine culture and took Philistine women to be his wife and girlfriend, so to speak. And it cost him his life. So we see that being enamored with our culture is a very subtle step, a slide going downward. I would suggest there's two main areas we need to be considerate of. One is in our kids' media choices, movies, music, and secondly is with their peer interaction. The Bible says in 1 Corinthians 15:33 that bad company will corrupt good habits. But it starts by saying, don't be deceived. And that's a warning, that's like an exclamation point, and it suggests that we can be deceived. Folks, as the homeschooling community grows larger, the values are also becoming more varied as well. And just because someone is homeschooled doesn't mean they share your kids' values. So you need to be very intentional with what relationships and friendships you connect with your children. I would suggest a couple of thoughts just as parents going through this season. Number one is pay attention for small changes. Listen to your kids' language. Watch their responses or the reaction. And what we're looking for here is a trajectory. Are they thinking biblical thoughts, a biblical worldview, or are they thinking more like the culture? Secondly, don't overreact. As our kids go through their teenage years, they will probably be the most social years of their life. Because I think it's God ordained because they're looking for a spouse. They're becoming increasingly independent because they're thinking about their own home. Those are very good things, but it's a very vulnerable time as well. Our kids will start wrestling with what's their convictions versus what's just their parents' convictions. And I encourage you to be very sensitive and very patient. The Bible says to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. And that's okay for somebody else. But what about when it's our own child doing that? It can be a little bit messy, so the key is not to flip out and not to overreact. And third and finally is do not minimize the power of the culture and specifically peer interaction. Folks, several years ago, God just ordained a season for our family to be together. And it was a very close time for us. And we're not ones who isolate, but God tended to have a season for us, about 6 months to a year, that we just spent time as a family. And it was a glorious time because it solidified my kids' hearts in so many ways. After that, we had one go to college for a nurse. We had two in cosmetology school, which is not a very godly place. And another one's in a vet clinic an hour away with, again, ungodly surroundings. But rather than compromising their faith, it deepened them because at that point, they were settled in what they believed. So I hope this helps as we think about our kids' hearts. Very important subject, and I hope again you'll watch for small things, watch for peer interaction, and don't overreact. This is Kirk Smith with I.C.H.E. Take 5.